This is a mealworm hive and starter kit from Livin Farms. I'm going to use it to farm my own mealworms and throw a mealworm dinner party in 18 days. For it to work, growing your own mealworms has to be easy. It can't smell, none of your worms can escape, and the recipes have to be delicious. Let's take a look at it. It's a little bigger than I expected. If I had to guess how heavy this was, I would say 22 pounds. Okay. This is my hive. This box just arrived today, and it has the actual worms in it. I really like their custom Livin Farms tape. All right, this says, ready to start a food revolution. I guess. So we call these mealworms, but they're actually the larval form of the flower beetle. The mealworm hive is self-sustaining. So as the beetles lay eggs, you'll then hatch those eggs into larvae, which is the form that we eat. That means that there's no subscription service, there's no worm refills, you just continue to hatch and grow and eat your own mealworms. I think these are smaller. Ooh, this one has a smell. This is smelly. It smells a little bit like mildew, like if you leave your laundry in the laundry machine overnight accidentally. More worms. I think that my hive is totally assembled now. The next steps are going to be to bring it back to my desk, tell my coworkers not to look inside of it, and then to feed them every few days for 18 days until they're ready to harvest. It's been 2 weeks, and it's time to check and see how the worms are growing. There's one step I missed when we were initially setting up the worm farm, and that's these little carbon filters here. They're supposed to reduce the smell of the worm farm, and you just tuck them on top of the drawers. I haven't noticed the worms smelling at my desk, but a few coworkers have mentioned it, so you definitely want to include the filters. I've been feeding the worms about every 2 days. It's not really hard to find things to feed them, but they don't eat anything seasoned or oily, so you can't just give them your leftovers. This is what they're eating today. It's oats, kale stems, and an apple core. These are basically all leftovers from a salad I made, and I love that because it helps reduce food waste in my kitchen. So you can see some of them have already grown up and turned into beetles. We've lost a few of our dear companions, but I think that's normal. And you can see these white still ones, those are actually pupae, so they're in the process of metamorphizing into beetles. This is the fourth drawer. These worms were a little younger when they arrived. None of them have hatched into beetles, but I do think they look a little bigger, and you can see a lot of them have shed their skins. So now we're going to feed them my salad scraps. Basically, I've just been dropping a few spoonfuls in each drawer. I've been a little bit surprised by how much they can eat. Even this looks like a lot of food, they'll have eaten it all in 2 days. I've actually read online that the things that you feed them can affect the way that they taste when you eat them. I fed them some fennel. I think they might be nice and aromatic. So now it's time to actually harvest. I know that because this green light is indicating that this drawer is ready to harvest. So to do that, what we're going to do is I'm going to take the drawer completely out. You can see that there's a bit of fine dirt has accumulated in this drawer. We're going to shake the dirt out through the holes in the lid here. After that, everything's poured through a colander that sorts out the beetles and the pupae. And then to sort the living mealworms away from the dead mealworms, the worms will fall onto a heated plate. This heated plate doesn't kill them, but it's uncomfortable for the worms that are alive. So the living healthy ones crawl off of the edge of the plate and fall into the harvest area here. To kick off the harvest, you push the harvest button. The harvest is done. It takes 4 hours to complete the whole process, and this is what we ended up with. It's not as many worms as I expected. This part worked well, so this filtered out the beetles and the pupae, but a lot of the worms got stuck on the plate down here and they didn't crawl off into the harvest tray. I had a 3-course meal planned. I don't think I have quite enough for that, so I'm gonna see if we're able to get a few more to crawl off here today. One of the reasons that this might not have worked is that there might be too much dirt left on this harvesting tray here, and that means that the worms didn't feel the heat of the tray as much, so didn't feel like they needed to crawl off. I'm going to try to remove some of that dirt and try it again and see if I can get a few more to cook with. In the meantime, I'm going to take the worms that we have, put them in this jar, and freeze them so that they're ready to cook tomorrow. So it's time to cook the mealworms. This is what we got from our first harvest. This didn't seem like it was going to be quite enough, so I went back in and was able to get these additional worms. The first thing I want to do is weigh these because I was really expecting to get a lot more. The Livin Farms manual says that they get about 200 grams of mealworms per harvest, and we got just 33. 33 grams of mealworms isn't quite enough for the mealworm dinner party of my dreams, so we actually ordered some extra mealworms online. What I wanted to do today was showcase the worms in a couple different dishes to get a sense of how they taste with different preparations. So for starters, I'm going to be serving a salad with pan-fried mealworms on top. Then I'm making a mealworm burger with dry roasted mealworms pureed and mixed into the patty. And for dessert, I'm serving an ice cream sundae topped with caramelized mealworms. Just for fun, there's also going to be a welcome cocktail. It's going to be a riff on a Paloma where the glass is rimmed with a salted chili mealworm powder. So when it comes to actually eating mealworms, they have about the same protein content as beef, but they have more fiber than broccoli. Most animal proteins don't have any fiber at all. So I've read that they taste a little bit like shrimp or peanuts, but I don't really know what to make of that. Let's see what my coworkers think.
Honestly, I'm not worried about trying this. It looks pretty good. Not bad at all. Tastes like a regular burger to me.
Oh, it's kind of good actually.
Cheers.
Okay, it was crunchy, but now it's kind of in the back of my mind that I know that there's worms in it, and now I'm kind of a little skeeved out.
It's good. Cheers.
I really like this burger. It doesn't really taste like worms. I definitely had a lot of fun with this experiment, but I'm not sure I can see it being part of my everyday life. I farmed mealworms for 3 weeks, and I came up with enough mealworms for about half of a burger recipe. I don't know if I would keep using this as part of my everyday life unless I thought I could replace another source of protein. It's delicious. You don't really taste the worms though. Do you want to try just a straight roasted one?
Sure. Yeah. All right. You know, it's crispy.